covered, so there's no need to go anywhere else. We'll be here live through spacecraft separation and confirmation that Perseverance and Ingenuity are on their way to Mars. Of note, the countdown audio that you are listening to, because that comes from ULA and NASA, that might be 15 to 30 seconds behind real time.
Right.
That's not us, that's on them and how they push it out to us. So you might hear them say something like 30 seconds, go Atlas, go Centaur, and the thing is lifting off the pad.
It launches.
You know, so this happens sometimes. So just be aware of those two things. But again, no need to go anywhere else. We've got everything configured to switch over to other feeds when I lose it, because I will lose it on this camera eventually when it gets far enough down range.
That was 3 minutes right there.
All right. So the Atlas V booster is pressurizing its RP1 and liquid oxygen tanks right now for flight. This provides the rigidity and the support that the tanks need to not collapse under their own weight and the thrust of the rocket as it starts to lift off.
Right.
As well as providing pressure so the propellants feed, you know, science, so they feed nice and uniformly into the engines.
And I'm making sure all the other auxiliary feeds are up and that sort of stuff, and just switching back and forth between a couple things here. But we should be between the side-by-side. We'll track it, then we'll switch over to that official feed. I'm going to be piping all the real-time audio to you, et cetera, et cetera. But
cool, thank you much.
Let
me unlock my car so that the car alarm does not go off when Atlas launches. That happens. You laugh.
It does happen. It's true. That was just a 1 minute 59.
So they said 1 minute.
1 minute 55.
Launch sequencer start.
So they are about 30 seconds behind real time.
Securing Centaur LO2.
Gotcha. All right, so for everyone watching, the countdown audio
1 minute 40.
is about
Launch
30
enabled.
seconds delayed.
137.
So liftoff will happen before you hear them say liftoff.
FTS armed.
All right, that was the flight termination system that would destroy the Atlas if needed to protect land, sea, and air assets off the range here.
1 minute 20.
And DOSAG have started local recording.
SCS count.
All right,
start.
good
1
deal.
minute 15.
Produce CCS for
Tripod
launch.
unlocked.
Roger.
Manual focus.
Tripod
1
unlocked,
minute 10.
manual focus, microphone on.
bells.
All right, there you
Shotgun
go.
on.
Good test on the pointing the camera up there.
Yep. There we go.
Bring it back down.
Try.
1 minute.
Okay, there we go.
Report
A little early.
status.
Range green.
All right, so we should be about 30-ish seconds away from liftoff here.
Yeah, and we'll take the clock off the screen there again. Our clock isn't going to match their clock exactly, y'all.
No.
All right,
Or you can
everything's
get the
go. Range
exhaust
is
here,
green.
too.
40 seconds.
Stable at step 3.
Here we go, RD-180 ignition,
28
booster
seconds.
ignition, and
Yes, reduce
liftoff
launch.
of the Atlas
Roger.
V with
25
Perseverance on its way to
Status check.
Mars.
Go Atlas. Go Centaur. Go Mars 2020.
Atlas V has performed the pitch maneuver, heading downrange now.
5. 0.
Release.
Wow. Chris, that's a fantastic view. Look at that.
And Atlas TU has gone to closed loop control. Coming up on 30 seconds into flight, the RD-180 is throttling down as expected. Engine response looks good. And Mach 1, Atlas V is now supersonic.
Wow. That pillar of smoke. I love the pillar of smoke on those
Passing 45
SRBs.
seconds into flight, the vehicle is now passing through max Q, maximum dynamic pressure.
Gosh, so beautiful. Arced completely up and over the sun from our perspective and vantage point here.
And passing
Just
1 minute
still
into flight,
going
the
on,
RD-180 is
going on.
throttling
Look
back
at
up as
Atlas.
expected. Engine response looks good.
Oh, yeah.
So we are approaching solid rocket motor
The RD-180
burnout and
pump speed and
separation
fuel
here.
injector pressures.
So we've got the
are responding
super
well to
zoomed
demand
in version.
the
Nope, they
engine.
switched off of it.
Standing by
We're going to
for
see the SRB
burnout
step.
shortly.
Stand by, y'all. Another switch to a different camera.
And we have burnout on all
Chris
four
still
SRBs.
has it too. Look at
Burnout
that.
pressure signatures look good. Standing by for SRB jettison shortly.
They carry the SRBs for just a second here.
I think I'm losing it focus-wise on my end, DOS, so I'm going to switch over.
And
That's
we have
okay.
good indication of SRB
you still
jettison
got it
of
pretty
all
good.
four
I've got you
SRBs,
two side by side.
and the vehicle is gone
Okay.
to close
Yeah,
loop
you've still
guidance.
got it. It's looking good.
Do I?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah,
like
yeah. Okay,
Vehicle
see
body
it.
rates are
It's dead
responding
center.
optimally at this time.
There's the SRB step right there.
It's so faint in the morning sky, I can barely see it on the screen. But yeah, I still got it. Holy moly.
Yeah, you do still have it.
That's awesome.
Oh,
I may have just lost
so
it.
we're going to move
Yeah.
over to the main.
Flight,
We move over to the main feed there, Chris. Your camera is clear, so you know what I want to see from your camera.
Oh, I know. I'm already repositioning, DOS. But first, I want to show you the contrail.
85 miles downrange, traveling at
Oh.
6,000 miles per hour.
Look at that. That's that pillar of smoke. You can already see the wind sort of mixing that smoke up, but that is the
Centaur
pillar of
reaction
smoke
control
that I was
system is
talking
now
about. Chris,
pressurizing
thank
the
you for
flight
that
levels.
shot there. We've got the official NASA feed just sort of showing a long-range shot, but look at that. That's the sort of thing that you see if you're there at the Cape watching it yourself. That's really cool looking.
Actually, I'm going to leave it zoomed out and up on that for ascent, and then we can zoom in on what
And
you
just
really love
3
to
minutes
see
into
at
flight,
the
the
end of
RD-180 is
at the
now
end of the
throttling to
launch
maintain a
campaign.
constant 2.5
It looks like
G
we're about
Yes,
to
for
get
payload bearing
yeah,
Johnson.
there's a rocket cam
Engine
right
response
there.
and vehicle acceleration look good.
Yeah. So it sounds like we're approaching payload fairing separation and jettison.
Yeah, God, that's cool.
At which point, okay, now I actually want to like put my eyes on this. See, I track it, so I don't actually get to watch it.
Yep. There we just had payload fairing jettison live on the stream.
All right. So next major event after payload fairing jettison will be oh, did they also confirm payload fairing and Centaur load reactor separation?
Yeah, we saw it happen.
Yep.
Okay, it happened. Okay, cool. Yes, so then the next major event will be shutdown and separation of the Atlas booster itself, coming up here momentarily.
They're standing by for Bico, Chris. They just did the call. I'm going to go ahead and
All right.
mute the launch audio there, and we'll just repeat what we hear on the launch audio. Every now and then, I know that we
How about that?
talk
Yeah,
over them,
because
but
it's
that's,
so delayed. Yeah.
yeah, that's the audio feed I'm getting from ULA is so delayed. We never know what's going to happen. But right there, we just got Bico, and we saw the SEP. This is now going to be the Centaur
Perfect.
engine. Right here, that RL-10C1, isn't it, Chris? RL-10C1?
Yes, RL-10C1 for this
Yeah.
mission. Yes.
Look at that. Everything's still looking good according to United Launch Alliance. That stage receding into the distance. Wow, that's crazy.
Isn't it? So now that we're on the Centaur and the RL-10 has ignited, this burn will last until about 11 and a half minutes after liftoff, which is how long it will take the Centaur to finish the job of getting the vehicle itself and Perseverance and Ingenuity into the initial Earth parking orbit, which is roughly 250 kilometers by 167 kilometers, inclined 29.1 degrees to Earth's equator. That is what they're aiming for here at the end of that burn, and then that will be followed by, for about 30 minutes, by a coast period, and then 45 minutes after liftoff, we'll have the reignition of the Centaur upper stage for the Trans-Mars injection burn. But those are the major milestones still remaining here in the flight today, and payload separation is expected roughly 57 minutes after liftoff.
Yep, and we've got another update from ULA here. The latest news: the 502nd RL-10 engine is performing well with good operating parameters. First burn by Centaur will last 7 minutes. They're saying.
Yep. Now, what is absolutely incredible, right, is I was looking at this on their video feed. So the Atlas V booster gets them to like 5 meters per second. Or I'm sorry, gets them to about 5 kilometers per second velocity. And the Centaur does the remaining like 2.7 kilometers per second velocity change.
Right.
So the Atlas does the vast majority of the work hauling this thing up to orbital velocity. And then the Centaur takes over. But because the Centaur's RL-10 engine is a very, very low thrust to weight ratio for the Centaur, but a very, very high efficiency engine, it takes a long time, but it can do it. And it can get it, and it can get the vehicle into orbit in very precise pinpoint, with very precise pinpoint accuracy as a result of how the two stages work together in this regard.
Yeah. Gosh. Again, y'all, updates from ULA. Rocket's now 900 miles downrange. It's traveling over 14,000 miles per hour. And then a look at the first stage performance number shows a good burn by the Common Core booster. So that booster and the SRBs,
Yes.
everything was looking good as the first look at those numbers, the performance of that booster.
Good, good, good. Dust, I'm going to zoom in a little bit and show you the pad here, because I know you like to see a nice, happy, empty launch pad on launch day. But the LOX ball is also venting right now and doing a pressure release, which is its normal post-launch configuration. But here you can see pad 41, or the image of 41 is available for you if you want to see what it looks like immediately after liftoff.
There we go. Let's switch over to that real quick. So we've got the side-by-side. That's now, they've lost the video signal from the upper stage, so we're getting an animation with some telemetry there. And then we have the clear launch pad. That's the sort of launch pad we like to see. Or that guy's head. Wait, who is that?
That was me accidentally getting into frame for a second.
As soon as I start talking about the clean pad, there's like a person with a mask like super close to the camera. But that is the type of pad we like to see. SLC 41 over there does not have a rocket on it. We are T plus just a few minutes, T plus 8 minutes it looks like. And the second stage with the Mars 2020 Perseverance rover and that Ingenuity helicopter, the first aircraft to fly on another planet when it reaches Mars, are continuing their ride on the Centaur there. That's, again, we've lost the live video signal from United Launch Alliance, but we are just looking at an animation with some telemetry now. But United Launch Alliance continues to report. Centaur continues firing for orbital velocity, and it's all looking nominal. Rocket's now communicating with NASA's TDRS, the Tracking and Data Relay Satellite System.
Which is what I meant when I said space-based assets are ready to support. Because
There you
we've got to
go.
switch over to the TDRS network, the Tracking Relay Data, the Tracking Data Relay Satellite Network up there.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I love this feed right now. The feed is sort of a window that's not quite full screen. You can see the title of it and everything. Like, I want to click maximize maybe, but
oh, funny, and of course. but Nate, but Das, you mentioned Ingenuity, the helicopter.
Yes.
Because this is really cool. Like, yes, there's a rover that is going and is actually for the first time ever a mission tasked with finding evidence of past microbial life on Mars. That is by far the biggest element of this mission that will be performed by Perseverance itself and the instruments on it, specifically Pixel and Sherlock and SuperCam. Instruments on board, but Ingenuity is just mind-blowing. This is a helicopter. This is a drone, a dual rotor drone that they are sending to another planet. And literally, they are sending it to another planet. And this is what I love about some of the technology demonstrations from NASA, is Ingenuity has no scientific objectives. It is one of the scientific objectives of the mission. So literally, this whole thing is designed about 30 days. It'll be able to fly for 90-second periods once every Martian day.
Right.
Because it communicates wirelessly with Perseverance only, it can never go more than 1 kilometer or 0.6 of a mile away from the rover.
Yep.
And if it works, they want to use it to look at the terrain and find interesting targets for Perseverance to go to. But
Chris,
we're just seeing if we can do it, which
stand
is
by,
amazing.
Chris.
And dots, yes, yeah.
I want to point out, upper right-hand corner, you see where it says perigee altitude? -100, -90, 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30. The sensor is about to shut down here. There, the perigee is now positive. And once we get that
Over
number
120
up high
is orbital.
Yep, we're orbital.
Woo!
There you go.
So we're in parking orbit. Yes, Doss, what did the perigee and apogee numbers say?
The perigee is 167. Looks like they're still doing a bit of an ullage or a correction burn with the thrusters there because it is still raising just a little bit. And the apogee is covered up by the NASA watermark. I can't see if that says
250-ish?
what?
250-ish?
250? Yeah, 250.
Okay, so if that is live telemetry,
It says
that
live
means
data.
they nailed. Yeah, so they nailed the parking orbit because what they were aiming for was 250 by 167.
It is 167 and 2. It's 167.7.8 and 250.3, and they're still doing a little bit of a
So
burn
they
with
nailed it. Yeah,
with the thrusters there. It looks like it's starting to roll. If that's illustrative of what it's actually doing, it's a 29.113 inclination.
So they nailed that as well. Good.
God.
So yeah, that is a bullseye, and I mean that is more of a bullseye than we've meant it before for other missions and other particular rockets. Where usually we say, oh, if it's like within 1 kilometer or 2 of the intended, it's good, right? You hit your target. Atlas nailed it. Yeah, because that's what they were headed for. Which is really important. This type of precision is really, really, really important for these types of missions. I'm going to zoom the camera back out so I can kind of get on screen and do some Q&A stuff. So
okay, we can try that. We're going to have to turn off the real-time communications here, but we can try that.
Oh, okay. If it's too much bother, then no. I was just going to do it just so there was some dynamic element other than a pad and an animation on screen, but we don't have to. That's all I was
Yeah, no. Let's give it a try, Chris. Let's give it a try.
Okay. You're going to have to tell me. Well, okay, cool.
Yes.
Let us see. So, yes. Wadoo-badoo.
Oh, no. Never mind. You have a mask on, so nobody can tell if the audio doesn't match the video. Just go
Then
ahead.
I'll keep this on. There we go. But
Chris, I was worried because the camera feed wasn't going to exactly match your audio feed because the audio feed is in another channel. But because you have a mask on, nobody knows that the audio is not going to match. So go ahead with your Q&A.
Small favors for today. But what I was saying is, these types of orbit insertions, right, for a lot of times we say like it hit the overall insertion target if you're targeting like 200 kilometers circular, right, like for missions to the International Space Station, and you wind up in a 203 by 197. Well, that averages to a circular 200 kilometer orbit, and we say you've hit it, right? Because 3 kilometers here or there, onboard systems can usually account for those types of, hiccups in where you're actually dropped off into orbit. But what I was saying earlier, right, the very, very low thrust to weight ratio of the RL-10 engine on in its single engine configuration to the Centaur common core used on the Atlas, it's very low thrust to weight, but very high efficiency. So it can do these very pinpoint and tight insertions where you saw today, they were aiming for 250 by 167, and they ended up in a 250 by 167 orbit. That's incredible. And a true testament to Atlas and ULA and the system that has been designed here. So what we have seen so far, and then we'll take questions,
Chris, put your hands in your pocket or something.
Is that what's giving it away, or the sound?
Because the hand motions don't match what you're saying at all. The mask hides your lips, but the hand motions don't match the audio.
Fantastic. I'll try not to talk with my hands
yes, that's
anymore.
Perfect. Okay, that looks great. Yes.
Okay. So, we have seen so far today a successful launch into initial Earth parking orbit by the Atlas V rocket and the Centaur upper stage. Perseverance, Ingenuity, all healthy right now on top of the Centaur. They are in a I started to talk with my hands. They are in a coast. This is going to be harder than you think for someone who hails from, or who has heritage from a part of the world where we really talk with our hands.
It's all good, Chris.
But anyway, so Centaur is in a coast right now, a 30-minute coast, 45 minutes after liftoff, so T plus 45 minutes. The Centaur RL-10 will reignite for the Trans-Mars injection burn. Now, we call it the Trans-Mars injection burn. ULA and NASA might call it something like the Earth escape burn. Same thing in this regard, just different ways of referring to the same overall procedure.
Yeah,
so
Chris.
Yes.
Another update from ULA. T plus 17 minutes. Data shows the first burn by Centaur inserted the rocket into the precise target orbit as planned.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That is just amazing. I mean, it truly, truly is amazing. But now the really